Hello, how are you? Today I'm going to talk to you about a food that has been used for thousands of years to improve our gut, our belly. When we talk about the gut, many people think of constipation or diarrhea, but the gut is not just about that. When we talk about the gut, we're also talking about inflammation, immunity, nutrient absorption, and even how our body reacts to everything we consume throughout the day. And when the gut doesn't work well, you can experience bloating, discomfort, irregular bowel movements, gas. Today, I'm going to explain how this food works and how to add it in the right way to achieve these good results. Stay until the end because you won't want to miss this. Before we start, I want to ask if you have any issues with your gut. If you suffer from constipation, diarrhea, irritable bowel, or in short, any problem with your microbiota, like dysbiosis, write to me. Or if everything is fine with it, I hope it is. Leave it for me down here in the comments because I'd love to see your comment. And remember to go ahead and like the video because that's your way of helping me out. And also, if you know someone who suffers from gut problems, share this video. It could really help that person. Let's talk about this wonderful food, which is actually turmeric. Its main active compound is curcumin. And the gut is one of the areas most exposed to inflammation in our body. This happens because it's in direct contact with everything we ingest: food, bacteria, toxins, additives, preservatives, and so on. And when this environment is constantly under attack, the body can activate defense mechanisms. There's a specific defense pathway called NF-kappa B. Think of it as if it were the command center for inflammation. When this pathway is activated, it enters the cell nucleus and stimulates the production of inflammatory substances. I'm not going to list for you here the names of the inflammatory substances that we produce, that our body produces, but these substances are important in acute situations, right? Obviously, inflammation plays an important role when it is controlled, but when you keep activating it chronically, it starts to impair the functioning of the intestine. This can lead to increased intestinal permeability, changes in the microbiota, the microorganisms that live there, greater digestive sensitivity, and even in some cases, worse absorption of nutrients. So that's where curcumin can come in. Curcumin has the ability to directly interfere with this pathway. It reduces the activation of this pathway and also acts on other inflammatory enzymes. And in practice, it's as if it helps to turn down the volume of inflammation. Obviously, we can't say that by taking turmeric, right? Curcumin will eliminate all the inflammation in your body. After all, our goal isn't to eliminate all inflammation, but rather to control it, to direct it so that inflammation is actually used when it's needed, but in general remains low, right? And not become an excessive inflammation that could harm our health. Before I continue talking to you about the effects of turmeric and how it can act in the gut, I want to invite you to check out my inflammation playlist to help reduce inflammation in your body with a lot of tips and great recipes. Everyone is loving it. I also have many others, one to control blood sugar, another for weight loss. So I invite you to check them out. I'll leave the links down below in the description. The intestine is made up of intestinal cells, right? The enterocytes, which are positioned right next to each other, forming the digestive tract. They're connected by specific structures that act like selective gates, allowing nutrients to pass through, blocking unwanted substances, and so on. In a more inflammatory scenario, these junctions can become permeable, leading to what's known as leaky gut, which allows toxins, microorganisms, and pathogens that we don't want to enter. And curcumin plays an interesting role here because it helps preserve the integrity of these structures, keeping the intestinal barrier more intact, more functional, and better protected, which benefits our health in a broader sense. Furthermore, curcumin has a very interesting role in the gut microbiota, not because it acts as a direct probiotic, but because it modulates the intestinal environment, promoting the growth of beneficial bacteria. So it's almost as if it were a prebiotic. This balance favors the production of short-chain fatty acids, such as butyrate, which is the main energy source for the cells of the intestine. In addition, it has an antioxidant role, neutralizing free radicals and protecting cells and mitochondria from oxidative stress. And we know that intestinal tissue is exposed to oxidative stress all the time, so it can help to neutralize that to some extent. Turmeric can also play a very interesting role in digestion, bile production, and the regularity of intestinal transit, since it helps stimulate the release of bile by the gallbladder, which is essential for fat digestion and the elimination of certain substances. When we are able to have more efficient digestion, we experience less inflammation and an improvement in the quality of the microbiota, the beneficial gut bacteria, and the result is more regular intestinal function. This doesn't mean that turmeric is going to act as a laxative, but it does improve the environment for proper intestinal function. So it's an ideal effect if you have a very inflammatory diet or experience frequent digestive discomfort. Before I tell you how to use it in practice, I want to make a side note that turmeric can really help intestinal health, but we know that the gut needs some basic things to function well, such as fiber, healthy fats, especially anti-inflammatory ones like fatty fish, chia, flaxseed, and so on. Water, because the intestine really needs water to nourish itself and for everything to work well, especially the fiber. And reducing stressors, right? Like alcohol, smoking, ultra-processed foods. When we do this, we help turmeric help us. There's no point in consuming that half teaspoon of turmeric daily if you have a very unbalanced diet. Also remember that the intestine loves physical exercise. So, more sedentary people are more likely to have constipation, intestinal polyps, and other related issues. Our body is all interconnected, so keep all of this in mind as well. I have a playlist here about foods in the intestine, gut health, digestion. I'll leave it down below in the description for you. So let's think about how to add this into our daily routine, right? Because it would be easy if I just told you, take that half teaspoon, mix it in a glass of water, and drink it. The problem is that with turmeric, the bioavailability of curcumin isn't that great. So if you want to do it this way with water, the ideal is to add a pinch of black pepper because piperine can increase the bioavailability, the absorption of curcumin, by up to 1,000%. Now, a practical way is to add it to your daily meals. People from the East, from India and those countries, have the habit of consuming turmeric daily. They use it as a seasoning. And then they add pepper, along with other things, and fat. Fat also helps with the absorption of curcumin. So for example, if you can use it on chicken or vegetables or meat or whatever you usually add pepper to. Even in beans, I don't know if you put pepper in beans, nobody puts it in rice. But really, basic everyday foods that you eat daily, if they have a bit of pepper and a bit of fat, that's perfect. With just a small amount, you can get a very interesting effect from turmeric as well. Remember that food is different from supplements, right? Usually, supplements can have higher concentrations, and doses in studies range from 500 milligrams to 2 grams per day. So if you're thinking about taking supplements, the ideal is to talk to your doctor or especially your nutritionist in your city because they'll evaluate the rest of your diet and everything else. People with gallbladder problems or who use anticoagulants need to be especially careful with supplementation, right? This amount from food usually isn't much of a problem, but once again, if you have any doubts, talk to someone who knows you and follows your case personally there in your city. So tell me, did you know about this interesting role of turmeric for the gut? If you started using it and noticed any improvement, I'd love to see your comment. Remember to go ahead and like the video, that's really important to me. And also share it with anyone you think could benefit. Let's work together to expand this chain of kindness, because that's what I want here with the channel. See you next time, bye.